My hands are bleeding from scrubbing his floors. The lye soap has cracked my skin open. Raw, red, painful. But I do not stop. I cannot stop. Because 3 days ago, I danced with a man who made me feel alive for the first time in 3 years. He held my waist with gentle hands. He laughed at my words like they mattered. He asked me questions as though my answers held value. He told me his name was Tristan. Just Tristan. A kind stranger at a masquerade ball who saw me when the rest of the world refused to. Now I know the truth. That man was not just Tristan. He is Duke Tristan Ashworth, the Duke of Ashworth, the most powerful nobleman in all of Bath, England. A man who controls estates spanning 3 counties. A man whose word can destroy livelihoods or build fortunes. And I am his housemaid. I scrub his floors before dawn. I polish his silver until my arms ache. I move through his house like a ghost, carefully invisible, desperately unseen. He walks past me in corridors without a second glance. His eyes slide over me as though I am furniture, part of the wallpaper. Nothing. Why would he look at me? At the ball, I wore silver silk and a jeweled mask. My hair was dressed with ribbons. I looked like I belonged in his world. Now I wear gray cotton that scratches my skin, a white cap that hides my hair, shame that weighs heavier than any fabric. He does not recognize me. But this morning, whilst cleaning his study, I found something that made my blood turn cold. My slipper, the one I lost running from the ball at midnight like a frightened child. He kept it. It sits on his desk on a velvet cushion like a precious relic, like something sacred. He has been searching for the mysterious silver lady who danced with him and vanished into the night, searching all of Bath society, attending every event, asking questions. And she has been scrubbing his floors all along. This story is entirely fiction. Any resemblance to real persons, living or deceased, or actual places is purely coincidental. This channel is built on persistence. Subscribe if you believe in persistence. Tell us in the comments where you are watching from right now. And please subscribe for more powerful stories like this one. We drop new stories regularly, and you will not want to miss them. Your support, your likes, your comments, your subscriptions helps us bring you these stories every single week. Now, before we continue, let me ask you this. Have you ever loved someone who could not see you? Let us know in the comments below. For days ago, Rosaline's life was different. Not better, just different. She lived in Lady Thornby's house as her ward. That is what Lady Thornby called her. Ward. It sounds protective, gentle, like she cared for Rosaline's well-being. She did not. When Rosaline's father died, his estate was contested. Distant cousins claimed the land. Solicitors argued over documents. And whilst they argued, everything disappeared. The money, the property, everything except Rosaline. Lady Thornby, Rosaline's father's cousin, took her in. She said it was Christian duty. She said Rosaline should be grateful. What she did not say was that Rosaline would pay for her charity with labor. Rosaline became her unpaid servant. She mended Lady Thornby's clothes. She arranged her hair. She managed her household whilst Lady Thornby told her friends Rosaline was receiving proper guidance. For 3 years, Rosaline lived this way. Invisible, useful, forgotten. But that night, the night of the masquerade ball at the assembly rooms, Rosaline decided to steal back one evening of her old life. Lady Thornby had gone to visit her sister in Bristol. She would not return until morning. The house was Rosaline's for one night. She found her mother's gown hidden in the attic, silver silk that caught the light like water. Her mother had worn it to her first ball. Now Rosaline would wear it to hers. She found a mask amongst her mother's things. Delicate, beautiful. It covered half her face. Rosaline looked in the mirror and barely recognized herself. For one night, she would not be Rosaline the ward, Rosaline the servant, Rosaline the invisible. She would be someone else entirely. The assembly rooms glittered like something from a fairy story. Chandeliers dripped crystal. Candles blazed in wall sconces. The air smelled of expensive perfume and beeswax and possibility. Ladies wore silks in every color. Gentlemen wore black evening clothes with pristine white cravats. Everyone wore masks. Rosaline had never seen anything so beautiful. History books do not tell you everything about Regency balls. They were not romantic. They were business transactions. The marriage mart, people called it, and the name revealed the truth. Young women were products displayed for sale, their value determined by dowry size, family connections, and acceptable beauty. A single season could make or destroy a family's fortune. Marriages were arranged like military campaigns. Mothers maneuvered their daughters toward wealthy suitors. Fathers negotiated settlements like trade agreements. Love was never part of the equation. This system crushed everyone it touched. Women became commodities. Men became collectors of assets. Nobody could simply be human. When society treats people as commodities instead of individuals, everyone suffers. Watch for systems that reduce human beings to their utility. Those systems serve power, not people. Rosaline stood at the edge of the ballroom, trying not to panic. What was she doing here? She did not belong. If anyone recognized her, if anyone told Lady Thornby, "You look lost," the voice came from behind her. She turned. A man stood there, tall. His shoulders filled his evening coat perfectly. His mask was simple black silk, but his clothes were clearly expensive, tailored by experts. His dark hair fell slightly across his forehead. His gray eyes studied her with genuine curiosity, not the calculating assessment most men used when evaluating potential wives. Actual curiosity. "I am perfectly well, sir," Rosaline said, lifting her chin. He smiled. "Forgive me. I did not mean to suggest otherwise. I only thought, you seem as uncomfortable with all this as I am." Rosaline blinked. "You are uncomfortable? At a ball?" "Terribly." His smile widened. "These events are torture. Everyone performing. Everyone pretending. Nobody saying anything real. I came tonight only because my mother threatened to disown me if I missed another season event." Rosaline laughed before she could stop herself. "What is amusing?" he asked. His tone was warm, not offended. "I simply did not expect honesty." "Then we are even. I did not expect to meet someone genuine tonight." He extended his hand. "Would you dance with me, mysterious lady? I promise I shall not ask your name if you do not wish to give it." Rosaline's heart hammered against her ribs. She should refuse. She should leave. She should remember her place. Instead, she took his hand. His hand settled at her waist. Proper distance. Proper form. But nothing about this felt proper. The music began. A waltz. English society was scandalized by the waltz. Unlike previous dances where partners barely touched and constantly changed, the waltz required a man to place his hand on a woman's waist. Their bodies came within inches of each other. They held this position for the entire dance. Mothers declared it would lead to impropriety. Clergymen preached against it. The moral panic was real. But the waltz gave couples something revolutionary: privacy. In a crowded ballroom, they could speak without chaperones overhearing every word. This tiny freedom changed everything. Every generation fears new forms of connection. People worried about telephones when they first appeared. Then the internet. The waltz controversy reminds us that proper is always changing. "You dance well," Rosaline said, focusing on the steps. "You sound surprised. Most gentlemen tread on feet." He laughed, a real laugh that reached his eyes. "I had an excellent teacher, a French dancing master who rapped my knuckles with a stick whenever I missed a step." "That sounds dreadful." "It was effective." He spun her gently. The ballroom blurred around them. "What shall I call you, since you will not give your name?" Rosaline hesitated. "The Silver Lady?" "Theatrical." "I approve." His eyes crinkled at the corners. "I am Tristan. Just Tristan. Not Lord Tristan. Not His Grace the Duke. Just a man with a kind smile and gentle hands." They danced 3 more sets. This was scandalous. A gentleman dancing more than twice with the same lady signaled serious courtship intentions. The entire ballroom would gossip. But Rosaline did not care. For the first time since her father died, she felt alive. "Tell me something true," Tristan said as they walked toward the refreshment table. "Something you have never told anyone." "That is a dangerous question, sir. We are both masked. We are both anonymous. We shall never see each other again after tonight." His voice softened. "For once we can be honest." Rosaline's chest tightened. "I am tired," she admitted. The words tumbled out before she could stop them. "Tired of pretending. Tired of performing the role everyone expects. I want to matter for who I am, not what I can provide to others." Tristan stopped walking. He turned to face her fully. "That," he said quietly, "is the most honest thing anyone has said to me in years. And you, sir? What truth do you carry?" His jaw tightened. "I am expected to marry a woman I have never met. A suitable match, they say. Proper bloodlines. Adequate dowry. Everyone tells me it is my duty. But I find myself wondering, is duty enough? Should it be enough? When duty becomes a prison rather than a choice, resentment grows." Tristan and Rosaline were both trapped by expectations. His came from nobility. Hers came from circumstance. But they were both performing roles they never chose. The clock began to chime. Midnight. Rosaline's blood turned to ice. "I must go," she gasped. "Wait. I cannot. I am sorry. She ran. Through the ballroom. Down the marble stairs. Out into the cool night air. Behind her, she heard Tristan calling. "Wait. Please. I do not even know your name." But she could not stop. If Lady Thornby returned home before her, if she discovered Rosaline had gone to the ball, if she found her attic ransacked for the gown, Rosaline ran until her lungs burned. She did not notice she had lost her slipper on the assembly room steps. 3 days later. "You will go to Ashworth House today," Lady Thornby announced over breakfast. Rosaline's stomach dropped. "Your Grace, do not be stupid, girl. His Grace the Duke of Ashworth requires additional staff for the season. I recommended you for a housemaid position. You will begin this morning. Ashworth House. The Duke of Ashworth." Rosaline knew the name, of course. Everyone in Bath knew the Ashworth family. They were legendary, wealthy beyond imagination, powerful beyond measure. A duke in 1810 ranked just below the royal family in English aristocracy. In all of England, there were fewer than 30 dukes. 30 men who controlled the fate of millions. A duke controlled vast estates spanning multiple counties. He appointed clergy to church positions in his domain. He influenced Parliament. He held the power of high justice over his tenants, meaning he could judge legal disputes on his lands. When a duke entered a room, even earls and viscounts stood. This was not simply wealth. This was power that shaped lives across generations. Period dramas show dukes as romantic heroes. Real dukes were political forces. Their decisions affected thousands of people. This matters when understanding power imbalances in any relationship. "When do I begin?" Rosaline asked quietly. "Immediately. Do not embarrass me, Rosaline. Servants who displease the Duke find themselves unemployable throughout Bath." That morning, Rosaline packed her few belongings. Her mother's gown, cleaned and carefully folded. Her father's pocket watch, the only inheritance Lady Thornby had not managed to sell. A book of poetry her mother loved. These were all she had left of happiness. Ashworth House took Rosaline's breath away. The main house was Palladian architecture. Perfect symmetry. Columns that reached 3 stories high. Windows that flooded rooms with light. The gardens stretched further than she could see. Manicured hedges. Marble fountains. Gravel paths that crunched underfoot. This was not a house. This was a statement of power. Rosaline entered through the servant's door at the back. Not the grand entrance. Never the grand entrance. Mrs. Winters, the housekeeper, met her in the servants' hall. She was 50, perhaps. Gray hair pulled severely back. Keys jangling at her waist. The symbol of her authority below stairs. "You are the new girl." "Yes, ma'am." "Rosaline. We maintain high standards here, Rosaline. His Grace expects perfection. You will address him as your grace should you ever encounter him, though housemaids rarely do. You will not speak unless spoken to. You will be invisible. Understood? Invisible. That word again. Yes, ma'am. Be invisible is what people in power say to those they wish to ignore. When any system requires human beings to erase themselves, question that system deeply. Mrs. Winters showed Rosaline the servants' quarters. A tiny room she would share with 3 other housemaids. 4 narrow beds. 1 small window. A washstand they would all use. This was Rosaline's world now. Domestic servants made up nearly 15% of England's working population in 1810. Hundreds of thousands of people. They lived in their employers' homes, but occupied a completely separate world. Servants used different staircases, back stairs, hidden stairs, narrow passages built into walls, so the family never had to see them moving through the house. They ate different food at different times in different rooms. They even spoke differently in some houses, quieter, more formal, erasing regional accents that might offend delicate ears. The phrase below stairs was literal. Servants' quarters were in basements or attics. Out of sight, this physical separation reinforced social division. Masters could live entire lives without truly seeing the people who made their comfort possible. When systems are designed so certain people remain unseen, injustice flourishes. Visibility is the first step toward equality. Always. Rosaline spent her first day learning the routine. Wake at 5 in the morning whilst the family still slept. Light fires in the family rooms before anyone woke. The house must be warm before the Duke opened his eyes. Scrub floors on hands and knees. Polish silver until arms ached. Empty chamber pots. Hall water. Stay silent. Stay invisible. By evening, Rosaline's hands were raw from lye soap. Her back ached from bending. Her knees were bruised from stone floors. But she was safe. She had employment. She would survive. That night, lying in the narrow servant's bed, Rosaline let herself remember the ball. Tristan's smile, his hand at her waist. The way he listened when she spoke, as though her words held value. She would never see him again. It was better this way. Some dreams were meant to stay dreams. The next morning, Rosaline was polishing the banister in the main hall when footsteps approached. She quickly stepped aside, eyes down, as Mrs. Winters had taught her. "Mrs. Winters, have we received a response from—" "Oh, that voice." Rosaline's heart stopped. She knew that voice. She looked up before she could stop herself. Tristan stood 3 feet away. Not Tristan. His Grace, the Duke of Ashworth. The same gray eyes. The same dark hair falling across his forehead. The same face that had haunted her dreams for 3 nights. He was the Duke. The kind stranger from the ball was the Duke. Rosaline's breath caught audibly. Tristan, the Duke, glanced at her briefly. His gaze passed over her without recognition, without interest, without pause. Of course, at the ball, she wore silver silk and jewels. Her hair was dressed with ribbons. She looked like someone who mattered. Now she wore plain gray cotton. Her hair was hidden under a white cap. Her hands were red and cracked from work. She was invisible. "Continue your work," he said absently, then turned back to Mrs. Winters. "I need the library prepared for guests this evening." "Yes, Your Grace." He walked away. Rosaline stood frozen, her heart shattering quietly inside her chest. Have you ever seen someone who meant everything to you and realized you meant nothing to them? That hollow ache in your chest, that feeling of being erased, that moment when you understand how little you actually matter. That is what Rosaline felt. The days blurred together. Rosaline became a ghost in Ashworth House. She cleaned rooms before dawn whilst the family slept. She polished silver in the scullery. She served tea without speaking. She watched Tristan from corners and shadows. And she learned things about him. He was kind to servants. This surprised her. He thanked footmen by name. He asked after the cook's injured knee. He noticed when the stable boy looked tired and told him to rest. He was not cruel, not dismissive in the way many nobility were. But he did not truly see them. Not really. They were background. Pleasant background, perhaps. Background he treated well. But still background. There is a difference between kindness and actual seeing. Kindness is thanking someone for their service. Seeing is understanding they have a full life beyond that service. Kindness is noticing when someone seems tired. Seeing is asking what keeps them awake at night. Kindness maintains the hierarchy whilst being pleasant about it. Seeing dismantles the hierarchy by recognizing shared humanity. Tristan was kind, but he did not see. Do not mistake kind treatment for actual equity. Systems can be kind while still being unjust. Always ask who benefits from the current structure. Rosaline watched him search for the Silver Lady. Every evening, he attended society events, assemblies, card parties, musical evenings. He was looking for her, the mysterious woman in the silver mask who had vanished into the night. Mrs. Winters gossiped about it with the other servants. "His Grace is quite determined," she said one morning whilst they polished silver. "They say he has attended every society event in Bath for 3 weeks. Looking for some woman he danced with at the masquerade." "How romantic," one of the other maids sighed. "How foolish," Mrs. Winters corrected. "A duke does not marry a woman whose family he cannot trace. Mark my words, this infatuation will pass." Rosaline kept her eyes down and said nothing. One afternoon, Rosaline was cleaning the Duke's study whilst he attended a meeting with his steward. She should not have touched his desk. Mrs. Winters had been clear. "Dust the furniture. Do not disturb papers." But something caught her eye. A small velvet cushion on the corner of his desk. And on that cushion, her slipper, the one she lost running from the ball. It sat there like a precious relic, like something sacred, like something irreplaceable. Rosaline's hands shook as she stared at it. He had kept it. He was searching for her. But she was right here in his house, scrubbing his floors, serving his tea. And he walked past her every day without seeing her. Rosaline backed away from the desk quickly. She should tell him. She should reveal herself. But what then? She was a servant. He was a duke. The distance between them was not merely social position. It was a chasm that could never be crossed. Think about workplace relationships between executives and entry-level employees. Teacher-student dynamics. Doctor-patient relationships. We have rules against these connections. Why? Because power imbalance makes genuine consent complicated. The person with less power can never be certain whether they are choosing freely or responding to pressure. In 1810, the power imbalance between a duke and a housemaid was absolute. He could dismiss Rosaline on a whim. He controlled her employment, her housing, her references for future work. If he knew the mysterious woman from the ball now scrubbed his floors, what would happen? Would he be embarrassed? Angry at the deception? Would he pity her? Or worse, would he feel entitled to her affection because he employed her? Rosaline returned to her work. Some truths were better left buried. 6 weeks later, the pattern of Rosaline's days became routine. Wake before dawn, light fires, scrub floors, polish silver, stay invisible, watch Tristan from shadows. Her heart broke a little more each day. He was kind, always kind. He thanked servants. He asked how people fared. He remembered names. But he did not see her. How could he? She was furniture, part of the house itself. The slipper remained on his desk. Every time Rosaline cleaned his study, she saw it there. A constant reminder of what she could never have. Then one Thursday, everything changed. "Jenny is ill," Mrs. Winters announced that morning. "Rosaline, you will serve tea in the library this afternoon. His Grace is meeting with his solicitor. 2 o'clock precisely. Do not be late." Terror seized Rosaline's chest. "Mrs. Winters, perhaps another maid could." "Are you refusing, girl?" "No, ma'am. Of course not." Rosaline's hands shook as she prepared the tea service. Silver teapot, fine porcelain cups, small cakes arranged perfectly on a tiered stand. She could do this. She would enter. She would serve. She would leave. Simple. At 2 o'clock, Rosaline knocked on the library door. "Enter." She pushed the door open with her hip, balancing the heavy tray. Tristan sat at his desk, reviewing documents. He did not look up. His solicitor, an older gentleman with graying hair, nodded at her briefly. Rosaline set the tea tray on the side table. Her hands trembled. The cups rattled slightly against the saucers. "Forgive me, Your Grace," she whispered. "Perfectly all right." His voice was distracted. "Leave it there." "Thank you." She turned to go. Her foot caught the edge of the rug. She stumbled. Not badly. She did not fall. But her hand shot out to catch herself against the bookshelf. A book tumbled to the floor. "I am so sorry, Your Grace," Rosaline said quickly, bending to retrieve it. "No harm done. Truly it is." Their hands touched as they both reached for the book. Tristan froze. His fingers were warm against hers, just like they had been when they danced. Rosaline pulled back quickly. "Forgive me." "Wait." That single word stopped her. She stood slowly, kept her eyes down. Tristan rose from his desk. He moved toward her slowly, his expression puzzled. "Look at me." It was not a request, not quite a command. Something between. Rosaline raised her eyes to his. Gray eyes. The same eyes that had looked at her with warmth at the masquerade ball. The same eyes that had passed over her without recognition for 6 weeks. Now they widened. "Your voice," he said softly. "I know your voice." Rosaline's heart hammered so loudly she was certain everyone in the room could hear it. "I have a common voice, Your Grace." "No." He stepped closer. Too close. Improper closeness. "There is nothing common about you." The solicitor cleared his throat. "Your Grace, perhaps we should continue our meeting." "Leave us," Tristan said, not taking his eyes from Rosaline's face. "Your Grace, I hardly think." "Please, give us a moment." The solicitor gathered his papers with obvious disapproval. He left, closing the door firmly behind him. They were alone. "I have seen you before," Tristan said. "Not here. Somewhere else. Your voice, the way you move. I know you. Your Grace, I am simply a housemaid." "Stop." He held up a hand. "Stop calling me that. Stop performing. I know pretense when I see it. I have lived my entire life surrounded by it." Rosaline's throat tightened. "I do not know what you mean, Your Grace." "The ball," he said suddenly. "The masquerade. You were there." She shook her head. "A housemaid at a society ball? Impossible. You are lying." His voice was not angry, just certain. "Why are you lying?" "Because the truth will destroy everything. Because you are a duke and I am nothing. Because fairy tales do not come true for girls like me." Rosaline said none of this. "I must return to my duties," she said instead. She moved toward the door. His hand caught her wrist. Gently, not restraining, just touching. "Please," he said. "Please do not run from me again." Again. The word hung in the air between them. Rosaline closed her eyes. "You do not understand what you are asking. Then help me understand." Notice the power dynamics here. Tristan asking Rosaline to stay whilst he employs her. Can she truly refuse? This is why relationships across power imbalances are dangerous. The person with less power can never be certain they are choosing freely. "If I tell you the truth," Rosaline whispered, "everything changes. You will look at me differently. You will regret asking. Let me decide what I regret." She opened her eyes, looked at him directly. "I was at the ball," Rosaline admitted. "I wore a silver gown and a mask. I danced with a man who told me his name was Tristan. Just Tristan. He made me laugh. He asked me questions as though my answers mattered. I thought he was a gentleman, perhaps a younger son of nobility. I did not know he was the Duke of Ashworth." Tristan's grip on her wrist loosened. His face went pale. You are the Silver Lady. I am Rosaline, a housemaid. That is all I am." "How long?" His voice was rough. "How long have you been here?" 6 weeks. 6 weeks. He released her wrist and stepped back. 6 weeks you have been in my house. 6 weeks I have been searching all of Bath for you. 6 weeks you watched me look everywhere except right in front of me. What was I supposed to do?" Rosaline's voice cracked. Tell you that the mysterious woman from the ball now scrubs your floors? Tell you that I am not actually mysterious at all, just poor? Tell you that everything you imagined about me was a lie. It was not a lie. That night was the most honest conversation I have had in years. That night was a fantasy. This, Rosaline gestured at her gray dress, her work-roughened hands. This is reality. Tristan's jaw tightened. Why did you not tell me when you arrived here? When you realized who I was? Because I am a servant and you are a duke. The words burst from her. Because the world does not allow girls like me to dance with men like you. Because I have nothing. I am nothing. I had no right to. Stop saying that. His voice rose. Stop saying you are nothing. It is the truth. It is what the world tells you. That does not make it true. Rosaline laughed bitterly. The world decides what is true for people like me. I do not have the luxury of disagreeing. Silence fell between them. Tristan ran a hand through his hair, messing the careful style. When you left the ball, he said quietly, I felt something I have never felt before. For one evening, someone saw me. Not my title, not my wealth, not what I could provide. Just me. I have been searching for that feeling ever since. Tears burned Rosaline's eyes. That feeling was built on deception. I did not know who you were. Exactly. He stepped closer again. You treated me like a human being because you did not know I was a duke. Do you have any idea how rare that is? How precious? Precious enough to risk everything? Rosaline shook her head. You have a position to maintain, a family reputation, expectations. I cannot give you any of that. I can only ruin it. Perhaps I want it ruined. This is the critical moment, when someone with power claims they want to give it up for love. But watch carefully. Is he willing to sacrifice what she would have to sacrifice? Or is he romanticizing struggle because he has never actually experienced it? You do not mean that, Rosaline said. Do not tell me what I mean. You are angry. You feel betrayed. But when that fades, you will realize. What? That I should marry some appropriate lady with the correct bloodline and adequate dowry? That I should spend my life in a comfortable prison, performing duty while slowly dying inside. His words echoed what he had said at the ball. About duty, about wondering if it was enough. Duty matters, Rosaline said softly. You have responsibilities, people who depend on you. And what about what I need? Does that not matter at all? She had no answer for that. 3 days later, Rosaline should have known secrets do not stay secret in large houses. Servants talk. Servants listen at doors. Servants know everything that happens above stairs and below. Within 3 days, everyone at Ashworth House knew the Duke had met privately with a housemaid, that he had been seen looking at Rosaline in corridors, that something was happening. Mrs. Winters called Rosaline to her sitting room. Whatever you think is happening, she said coldly. End it. Now, before you destroy yourself. Mrs. Winters, I have done nothing. Do not insult my intelligence, girl. His Grace looks at you the way men do not look at housemaids. You encourage this somehow. You must discourage it immediately. I have done nothing to encourage. Then do something to stop it. A duke does not marry a servant. This ends in ruin. Your ruin, not his. Remember that. Notice who bears the consequences when power structures are challenged. The person with less power always risks more. Always. Rosaline tried to avoid Tristan after that. She switched her cleaning schedule. She took different corridors. She made herself as invisible as possible. It did not matter. He found her anyway. You are avoiding me, he said one morning, cornering her in the back hallway. I am working, Your Grace. Rosaline, you must stop this. People are talking. Mrs. Winters is angry. If this continues, I will lose my position. Then I will employ you elsewhere. And confirm every suspicion? Your Grace, please. Think about what you are risking. I have thought of nothing else for 3 days. He produced something from his pocket. The silver ribbon Rosaline had worn in her hair at the ball. The one she had shown him during their conversation in his study. I have kept this since that night, he said. I kept your slipper. I have attended every tedious society event in Bath searching for you. And now you stand before me asking me to pretend none of it matters. Yes, because that is what sensible people do. They accept reality. I am tired of reality. I want truth. Before Rosaline could respond, the front door slammed open. Footsteps echoed through the hall. Angry footsteps. "Where is she?" A familiar voice shrieked. "Where is that ungrateful, scheming creature?" Rosaline's blood turned to ice. Lady Thornby. She swept into the hallway like an avenging fury. Her face was red. Her eyes blazed. "You!" She pointed at Rosaline. "You deceitful little wretch. Lady Thornby, you attended the masquerade ball. You stole your mother's gown from my attic. You deceived a duke. You have brought shame upon my household." Tristan stepped between them. "Lady Thornby, you will lower your voice in my house. Your Grace." Lady Thornby's tone changed instantly. Sweet, unctuous, false. "I apologize for the disturbance. But this girl is my ward, my responsibility. She has behaved abominably. I must remove her immediately before she causes further scandal." "Rosaline is an adult woman," Tristan said coldly. "She owes you nothing. She owes me everything. I took her in when she had nothing. I fed her, housed her, gave her proper guidance. You exploited her." Tristan's voice could have cut glass. "You used her as unpaid labor while stealing her inheritance. Yes, I had my solicitors investigate. You took advantage of contested estate proceedings to appropriate funds that should have gone to Rosaline. You are fortunate I do not bring charges." Lady Thornby's face went from red to white. "Your Grace, there has been a misunderstanding." "There has been no misunderstanding. You will leave my house now. If you ever contact Rosaline again, I will ensure every detail of your financial manipulation becomes public knowledge." Do I make myself clear? Under English common law in 1810, unmarried women had almost no legal rights. A guardian, especially a female relative, could control an orphaned girl's property, education, and marriage prospects with minimal oversight. Many young women were trapped in situations of abuse or exploitation with no legal recourse. The law assumed women needed protection. It rarely considered that the protectors might be the danger. Think about modern guardianship abuse cases. Elderly people or disabled adults whose guardians control their finances and isolate them from family. The fundamental problem remains the same. When law assumes vulnerability, it can create systems that enable exploitation rather than prevent it. Lady Thornby gathered what remained of her dignity. "You will regret this, Your Grace. The entire ton will know you have been seduced by a servant. Your family will be mortified. You will be laughed out of society. Then let them laugh." She turned her venom on Rosaline. "You think you have one? You think a duke will actually marry a nobody like you? He will tire of you, use you, discard you. And when he does, you will have nothing. No position, no references, no future. You will end in the gutter where you belong." Each word was a knife, because part of Rosaline feared she was right. "Leave," Tristan said again. "Now." Lady Thornby left. The silence she left behind was deafening. Rosaline stood there, shaking. Everything had just changed. Everything had just become real. "Rosaline, you should not have done that," she said. Her voice was barely a whisper. "The scandal, your family, your reputation, I do not care about. You should care. You are a duke. You have responsibilities. People depend on you. And now they will all know that that I what? That I care about someone? That I choose to see value where society says I should not. They will say you have been seduced. They will say I am a scheming fortune hunter. They will say terrible things about both of us, but especially about me." He took her hands. "Then let them say it. You do not understand. You cannot understand. You have never been powerless. People with privilege often cannot fully understand what it means to lack that privilege. They can listen. They can learn. They can try. But lived experience of powerlessness is different from observing it." Tristan was quiet for a long moment. "You are right," he said finally. "I have never been powerless. I have never worried about employment or references or where I would sleep. I have never been truly afraid. But I see what this costs you. I see what you risk. And I am asking, is there any version of this where you would choose me anyway? Rosaline's heart broke and mended and broke again. I have been choosing you since the moment we danced, she whispered. But choosing you might destroy us both. Or save us both. That evening, Tristan's mother arrived within hours of Lady Thornby's departure. The Dowager Duchess of Ashworth was a formidable woman. Tall, elegant, cold as January frost. She did not acknowledge Rosaline when she swept past in the hallway. Rosaline was beneath acknowledgement, but she heard the shouting from the drawing room, muffled through thick doors, but unmistakable. Mrs. Winters found Rosaline in the scullery. "You should leave," she said quietly. "Tonight, before this becomes worse. I have nowhere to go. Then find somewhere. This will not end well, child. Dukes do not marry housemaids. The Dowager will ensure it." She was right. She was probably right. Rosaline packed her few belongings that night. Her mother's gown, her father's watch, the poetry book. She would leave at dawn, disappear, save Tristan from his own generous heart. But at midnight, there was a knock on the servants' quarters door. One of the footmen stood there. "His Grace requests your presence in the library." The other maid stared at Rosaline. This was beyond scandalous. A duke summoning a housemaid at midnight. But she followed anyway. Tristan stood by the fireplace when Rosaline entered. His cravat was loosened. His hair was disheveled. He looked exhausted. "My mother has returned to London," he said without preamble. "She will tell my sisters. They will tell society. By tomorrow afternoon, all of Bath will know. I am sorry. Do not be sorry. Be honest." He turned to face her. "I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer truthfully, not carefully." Rosaline's heart hammered. "What do you want, Rosaline? Not what is sensible. Not what is expected. Not what protects me or preserves my reputation. What do you actually want?" This was the moment, the choice that would determine everything. Rosaline could lie. She could say she wanted nothing. She could leave tonight and save him from scandal. Many women in her position would. Society expected women to sacrifice, to be noble in their suffering, to choose duty over desire. Examine who benefits when we glorify sacrifice. If a system requires one group to constantly sacrifice whilst another group constantly benefits, that is not noble. That is exploitation dressed as virtue. For centuries, women were taught that self-sacrifice was the highest calling. Give up education for brothers. Give up career for husband. Give up dreams for children. Give up, give up, give up. And who benefits from that teaching? Who gains when half the population is trained to erase themselves? "I want to be seen," Rosaline said. The words came from somewhere deep, somewhere honest. "I want to matter. I want to wake up every morning knowing I am valued for who I am, not what I can provide or how quietly I can disappear. I want to choose my own life for once. I want," she took a breath, "I want you. I want us. Even if the world condemns it. Even if it costs everything." Tristan crossed the room in 3 strides. He cupped her face in his hands. "Then choose me. Choose us. Even if your family disowns you? Especially then. Even if society cuts you? Let them. Even if we lose everything? We will not lose everything. We will have each other. That is not nothing." Rosaline kissed him. For the first time in her life, she chose herself. 6 months later, the wedding was small. Tristan's mother did not attend. She was unwell, society code for disapproval. But his sister came, Lady Caroline, who delighted in scandalizing their mother. She brought her husband and 3 children. They filled the small chapel with noise and laughter. A few of Tristan's genuine friends attended. Not many. Most stayed away, unwilling to risk association with scandal. Mrs. Winters came. She gave Rosaline a stiff nod and a small smile. "You are braver than I was at your age," she whispered. The ceremony was simple. No grand cathedral. No hundreds of guests. No spectacle. Just vows. Just truth. Just them. When the vicar pronounced them married, Rosaline became the Duchess of Ashworth. Society would never fully accept her. Invitations would be scarce. Whispers would follow them. But she would be seen. That night, in their private chambers, Tristan gave Rosaline a wedding gift. A glass case containing the silver slipper. "So you can never disappear on me again," he said. Rosaline laughed. "I am a duchess now. I think disappearing will be rather difficult." "Good." She studied the slipper, then looked at her husband. "Do you ever regret it? Choosing me over an easier path?" "Every day," Tristan said. Rosaline's heart sank. Then he smiled. "Every day. I wake up grateful I was brave enough to choose love over convenience. Every day, I am glad I saw you, truly saw you, even when the world told me not to. Every day, I remember that the most valuable things are often the ones we are told do not matter." Rosaline set down the glass case and took his hands. "What we did," she said softly, "choosing each other despite everything. Do you think it matters? Beyond us." He was quiet for a moment. "I think every time someone chooses truth over performance, it matters," he said finally. "Every time someone refuses to be invisible, it creates a crack in the walls society builds. Those cracks let light in. They show others that different choices are possible. So we are revolutionaries. Small ones, perhaps. But yes, true sacrifice is not erasing yourself for others' comfort. True sacrifice is risking comfort for truth." Rosaline sacrificed invisibility for visibility. Tristan sacrificed easy approval for genuine connection. They both risked everything. They both gained more than they lost. Because here is what they do not tell you about power structures. They survive by convincing certain people to stay quiet, to stay small, to sacrifice their dreams for others' comfort. The moment you refuse, the moment you choose visibility over invisibility, you challenge the entire system. That is why they fight so hard to keep you quiet. That is why choosing yourself is revolutionary. 1 year later, Rosaline stood in the morning room of Ashworth House, reading a letter. It was from a young woman in Bristol. She had heard about Rosaline's story, the housemaid who married the Duke. She wrote to tell Rosaline it had given her courage. Courage to refuse a marriage her family arranged. Courage to pursue education instead. Courage to choose herself. "You showed me that the rules can be broken," she wrote. "That we do not have to accept the lives others design for us. Thank you." Rosaline showed the letter to Tristan. "You were right," she said. "The cracks let light in." He smiled. "We let light in. Together." Rosaline looked around the morning room. Her morning room now. In her house. Her life. Her choice. She was no longer invisible. The question for you. Rosaline learned this truth in a ballroom, wearing a mask. She lived this truth as a servant in a duke's house. She claimed this truth the day she chose to be seen. And you, when will you refuse to be invisible? When will you stop sacrificing yourself for systems that do not serve you? When will you choose yourself? The world will tell you to stay quiet, to stay small, to know your place. The world is wrong. You were never meant to be invisible. You were meant to be seen. So let them see you, all of you, unapologetically, completely, truly. That is not selfish. That is survival. That is revolution. That is freedom. Choose yourself. The world will adjust. It always does. If you found value in Rosaline and Tristan's story, subscribe to this channel. We bring you powerful stories of courage, choice, and truth every week. Stories that challenge. Stories that inspire. Stories that remind you that you matter. Tell us in the comments. What part of yourself have you been hiding? When will you choose to be seen? Your support helps us create more content like this. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing yourself. In 1823, a real scandal occurred when Henry Bridges, 2nd Duke of Chandos, married an Eliza Barnard, a woman of lower social standing. Society condemned them. His family disowned him temporarily, but they stayed together, proving love could challenge rigid class structures. This story honors those who refused invisibility when society demanded silence.